G'day guys, and welcome back to the Supercoach YouTube channel. Today we will be discussing this week's practice matches, as well as a team update and all the news that's going on in the AFL world right now with injuries and weather, can you believe it? But yeah, I guess maybe before I get into the practice matches, I want to touch a little bit on the aforementioned weather. There is a chance that the first game of the season, Geelong versus Brisbane, in Brisbane, will be delayed due to a tropical cyclone by the name of Alfred. There's a couple of ways that this could go. The way that Brisbane has suggested to the AFL, which is the way that I would love to see the most, is that they play this game in the round 3 bye that both teams have, which would make a lot of picks much more interesting. Tom Stewart, Max Holmes, Dane Zorko, Lockie Neal, and Josh Dunkley, just to name a few of the premium type picks. It does mean that we wouldn't get a look at Levi Ashcroft, which is a little bit scary, I must admit. But look, that would be, it'd be pretty, it's unprecedented having a cyclone delay a match and have it cancelled. Like, outside of the one game that got cancelled in COVID, I can't even think of a match getting cancelled in the AFL in recent memory. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. We'll see how that one plays out. I'm surprised that hasn't already been addressed. Well, Dylan addressed it, but he hasn't really given a solution to it. He thinks that they're somehow going to be able to play in, 150 kilometre per hour winds. So I don't know. Good luck to them if they can. But yeah, let's get into the practice matches. The first, I've got CBAs here. Let's go live scoring. All right, so the first game we have was Geelong versus Essendon. Yeah, this was actually a really good game. I don't know if anyone else had the same thoughts, but I was watching it, particularly in the first quarter. I don't know if it was just because footy was back or not, but I was like, oh, yeah, this is good. This is good. I'm really enjoying this. So, yeah, let's get into it. We'll start with Geelong. If you're interested in Tom Stewart, you probably saw enough. He was not even in first gear for the entire game. So that was pretty good. The role looks pretty good, still getting some CBAs. I think his scoring from those CBAs will get better once Smith comes back and potentially Tanner Bruhn as well. So yeah, that was good to see. I was very happy with that. Would love another look in round 0, but as I said, we'll see how that goes. Next one I've got here is Mitch Nevitt. Scored a 70, played predominantly on ball with a little bit of wing time, probably 60-40 on ball wing. I think this guy's going to be a good pick. He's quite contested. He's not a very good winger, but he's okay. But when he's on the ball, he is really good. And there's some speculation whether or not Tanner Bruhn will be available in round 0 or 1 anyway. So definitely one to keep your eye on. If there is no Tanner Bruhn, this guy is an absolute lock on your field, I think. But yeah, if Tanner Bruhn is playing, then he might just be a bench option. Either way, I think he'll be a good rookie for us. I know there's some Lawson Humphreys picks going around. If you're interested in him, I would probably cross him off the list based on this game. Obviously, with primos, you don't really want to be making too many decisions based on practice matches, but I don't know. I don't think this guy has a good enough role to score. And then Max Holmes. I don't know what happened with Holmes this game. He didn't get a heap of centre bounces, it felt like, maybe 50%. Played a bit off half-back. Absolutely torched the footy, as we can see with this fantasy Supercoach ratio. So yeah, Holmes is another one that would be very interesting to have another look at next week. But as I said, we may not get that game. So we'll let that one play out before we make any decisions. We've still got another half a round of data and a week's worth of injuries, which are coming in hard and fast at the moment. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Connor O'Sullivan, he was really good in the first quarter and then just went to sleep. So I'm not sure we're going to get Connor O'Sullivan, which is a real shame because I think if we did get him, he was probably an on-field option in defence. But yeah, I don't know. He looks a ripper though. He's quite tall but very fast. So I think Geelong's got a good one there. Unfortunately, we cannot pick him in Supercoach this year. Moving on to Essendon. Nick Martin. I don't love picking him to start your season, but he is going to be a top 6 forward. I don't think he has midfield DPP. So I would plan accordingly for that. That means that we might actually have 6 guys that can do 95 relatively comfortably now instead of just needing 90. So factor that into your calculations. I know people are questioning whether or not Bailey Smith can go much more than 90. I'm not. I think he definitely can, but it's just something to think about and to plan your trades around. Jordan Ridley had an okay role. He's not getting a heap of ball, but he uses it very well. So it's kind of like Stewart, where he intercepts and then he just uses the ball well. Now, Stewart has a little bit more of a propensity to accumulate, but I don't know. I think Ridley's interesting. He also really does have a horrific injury history, so got to keep that one in mind as well, I guess, with Jordan. But yeah, that's not new to anyone. Isaac Kako, boy, was he good. 4 goals, buzzing around up the field. Like, he was doing everything. He's still not in my side. He's not going to cash in like this every week with goals. And he's not going to score much without those goals. Like, he's probably got, 45 points from goals here. His role's really bad. Like, it's a forward pocket. He gets up the ground a little bit, but not a heap. But yeah, I just don't think he's going to score. I don't think he's going to be able to score enough week in, week out. If Essendon had a softer fixture, I would be interested, but I also think there's a little bit better options for rookies in our forward line. So Kako is not for me. Elijah Sardis went 90. He has a really good role. He racks up the footy. Get him in on your field. I am mildly concerned to what happens to Sardis and his role once Parrish comes back. Because he is completely unversatile. The thing here that is the most concerning to me is you get that many centre bounces and you're around the ball that much and you have 1 tackle. So with Sardis, we're going to need him to make his money very quick, which I think he can. But yeah, I think he's going to be one we're going to flip early, I think. Because he's scoring. Once Parrish comes back and his CBAs drop, his scoring's going to plummet. So yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on there. Nick Bryan had 49 TOG, and he looked really good now. I didn't actually touch on De Koning. De Koning was horrible in the ruck, and he just looked kind of lost around the ground. So I wouldn't be interested in De Koning. Well, I'm not interested in De Koning. I would cross him off the list as well. Even though our defense is thin, I'm not sure he can. I'm questioning whether or not he presents any value at his price, let alone enough value to make enough money. So that's my thoughts on De Koning. But yeah, Brian, if something happens to Draper before round 1, I will be picking Nick Bryan, I think. I'm very interested in this pick. If there's some sort of serious-ish injury to Draper, which obviously we hope there won't be, but yeah, he was very interesting. Merritt was cruising. You wouldn't be worried about Merritt if you were picking. Zach Reid was really good, uses the ball super well, gets a couple of intercepts, gets involved in the chip mark in defence. I think he's a lock. I think you can field him. Ideally, we would get a better on-field option, but I don't think we have one. So yeah, I think he's a lock in your defence though. As a rookie, he's one of the few. He's clearly the best rookie in my opinion in defence. So yeah, that's Zach Reid. Jackson Pryor, he scored 69 playing in like a lockdowny half-back role. It's similar to what Patton and O'Connell, who I'll talk about them later obviously. It's a similar sort of role to them. Pryor was quite good. I'm not sure if his job security is threatened by Redmond, who didn't play. I presume that the first one to come out for Redmond is Roberts, but it's hard to know. And does that push Pryor up to the wing? I'm not sure. But yeah, Dylan Shield. This is sort of an interesting fantasy pick. Wouldn't go near it in Supercoach, but he gets a lot of ball, but his usage is pretty bad. He was a bit fumbly. He did some really nice things, I will say, but yeah, I don't know. You couldn't do it in Supercoach. Lewis Hayes, I guess I'll mention. I don't think he'll play round 1. I presume Laverde plays over him. I'm actually surprised they're even using Hayes. I would have thought that they just play Reid, Mackay, and Ridley. So that was a bit interesting. But yeah, Lewis Hayes, not interested in him at all. Same with Edwards. I don't think he's best 22 round 1. But yeah, that's that game. Let's move on to Richmond Collingwood. In a complete contrast to the last game, this was completely unwatchable. But I did it anyway because someone's got to watch them and get all the the news and stuff out of them, the roles, that sort of stuff. But here we are. Jaden Short, he had I think he had 20 disposals in the first half. And then he actually got a bit of attention. I was looking around, I was like, geez, I haven't seen Short in a while. And lo and behold, Will Hoskin-Elliott is absolutely strapped to his hip. So I don't know if that's something we'll see from Collingwood during the season. But I haven't seen much discussion over it either. It wasn't like they were just playing on each other. Short was doing what he pleased in the first half, and Hoskin-Elliott was there with him the whole way through the second half pretty much. He had another matchup at one point, but that was interesting. I do like Short. There's 3 guys in my team, or 2 in my team and 1 not in my team at the moment that I'm very interested in, and they're all similar. Short, Roberts and Perryman. I have no idea how I'm splitting them at the moment, so I've got some thinking to do there. But yeah, Short, I was very happy with what I saw from Short. Richmond are absolutely terrible as well, which bodes well for Jaden Short. He also had 1 kick in, I think, because Collingwood were extraordinarily accurate. So there's actually upside on this. So yeah, I don't know. I really like Short. I don't think he can do. I don't think he's going to blow up like he did last year. That's for sure. I think you get minimum 15 points upside. So yep, that was very good. Sonsi he's an awkward price, but he was actually pretty good, which I don't think I've ever said about him. But yeah, I did look up how much he was. I think he's about 230 or 240, so probably too expensive. But he might get opportunity early with Josh Smiley being ruled out with a hamstring. So yep, that's some Tyler Sonsi. I've seen a bit of Blight. I don't know if you can pick this guy, man. Like, he just doesn't get enough ball. Or the ball's going to be down there enough, but he's not one of their ball users. Like, all the ball at the moment goes through Short and a little bit of Loston, but it's mostly Short. I don't know about Blight. He's too expensive for mine. Who else have we got here? Trainer came on late and was quite good when he did come on. I'm really hoping that we get this guy, but I'm not confident at the moment. But he would be a handy one. He's a little bit cheaper as well, 113.5k, so he would be quite nice. Armstrong, I don't think can score enough, so I wouldn't even bother with him. And then Fawcett and Sims, I don't think play. So yeah, let's move on to Collingwood. Nick Dacos in 59 tog went 150. Look, this is Richmond in a preseason game. There is not a more Nick Dacos friendly game. I'm not surprised. He could have scored 400 Supercoach points, and I still wouldn't be picking him. But I don't think the injury is there. But they have a tough-ish fixture at the start, and I think there's a couple tags in there. So I reckon we can get him cheaper than 620 or 630 or whatever he's at. Josh Dacos off half-back, that's interesting. It's one where I think there's better options, and I'm not sure that Collingwood's such an interesting team for Supercoach because the only one that's really shown any capability of scoring a lot in the Collingwood system is Nick Dacos. This is over the last couple of years. The other small exception is Darcy Cameron, who can put up big numbers but isn't consistent. But Dacos is he gets all the football, he does all the damage, like he's the man there. So this is why when we're going to talk about Perryman next, I'm just a little tentative on these Dacos and Perryman, and Houston I'll talk about later. I don't think you can pick Houston, but we'll get to that later. But they're like Dacos and Perryman have good roles, Josh that is. I'm just not sure they can keep up a premium level of scoring. I do have Perryman for now because he's 417k in defence, and I'm okay with picking these stepping stone types in defence where I don't love a lot of the options back there. He has a really good role. I think it's second most CBAs behind Nick. He tackles a lot, as you can see with the 10 tackles. Didn't get involved in the transition game too much, but he's at every stoppage. I think he's going to score. If he gave us 110, I'd be wrapped. I think it's more likely he gives us between 95 and 100, hoping for some spike scores close to the buy so we can flip him. But yeah, I don't mind Perryman at all. I think he's a good pick. He's in my side for now. Dan Houston got no kick-ins. He was really good, played really well, terrific player obviously, but no kick-ins, so I'm not interested in Houston. Dacos didn't get too many kick-ins either, so that's another thing with them. Howe got most of the kick-ins, so yep, not overly interested in them. And the only other one of interest here is Ed Allen, who absolutely tortured the football, and I'm not sure will avoid the sub-vest come round one, so I don't think you can pick him. He's also way too expensive, I think, given the potential scoring output. Alrighty, Hawthorn versus the Bulldogs. Sicily played the vast majority of the game in defence, which was excellent for me. He did get swung forward for about 8 minutes, I want to say, in the last quarter. To say Sicily was in first gear would be probably inaccurate. He wasn't even in first gear, just cruised around the whole game. Don't think I saw him break a jog. This was reflected when he went forward and he didn't even attempt to crash a marking contest or bring the ball to ground. There was a lot of looking for goals out the back. So I don't know. I don't think Sicily's a good forward even when he is trying. So I'm sort of hoping he stays back there. He's also not that tall. Like, the point of him going forward would be to crash packs, is my understanding. Like, I'm not seeing the massive forward time eventuating, but again, we get another look round one. There has been some articles suggesting that he might start forward at times. I would be shocked with that. But who knows? Who knows? Also, Battle got swung forward at one point as well. So they might, if they're looking to swing someone forward, it might not always be Sicily, which is good to note. Who have we got here? Lloyd Meek. Did get managed towards the end of the game. He was beating up on English as well, which is an easy matchup. I just don't see the upside for this pick, so I'm not overly interested in it. Newcomb and Day were quiet, despite no Bont, no Trelaw. I've noticed Newcomb's a real, he's a cold weather merchant, doesn't like the heat. He's sort of similar to Rory Laird back in the day, who the only stinkers he would ever drop was when it was hot. Now, I'm not sure it was too hot in Tasmania, but yeah, he builds into the season. I don't think you can start him. Will Day, he does this sometimes where he doesn't accumulate enough to actually put up a big score. So yeah, I'm not overly interested in Will Day. I think there's much better options at the price. Dylan Moore, you wouldn't be starting, but you wouldn't be worried if you saw this, if you were. Ramsden is similar to Armstrong. I think there's better options. Also, I'm not convinced Ramsden will play round one, but I guess we'll see. To the Dogs, Sam Davidson. Gee, he was good. I think he had 20 and a goal in the first half. He was easily the best player on the ground to that point. This guy's really good. I think he's actually an on-field option, which is super handy. So yeah, I was very impressed with him. English, this was sort of a typical English game. Couldn't really win too many hit-outs against Meek. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a massive English believer. Joel Frazier, he was very good, but there was no Bailey Dale, so I don't think you can pick without the knowledge of how Dale affects him, which I presume Dale shaves at least 15 points off this score, which means he's no longer a good pick. I will say I don't know why they keep running Bramble around. We'll talk about Cleary. Cleary, the reason they won't use Cleary over Bramble is because he's not quick, whereas Bramble is. But I don't know, Bramble tortures it. Cleary, we've seen Cleary can score. We've seen scoring from him before. He's played a couple of games. I think he averaged about 70 across those games. If we get Cleary and he looks like having good job security, I think this is a good pick in our defence. I prefer it to Pryor at the very least. Yeah, his job security is not really better than Pryor. I don't know. It's a tough one. The job security is too tough. I know Bevo likes to give these types of guys a go, but yeah, I don't know. It's tough. James Dolan, small forward. He's 113k, I want to say. I think there's better options. So yeah, wouldn't be too interested in that. And obviously the Bont, he's out for the first 4-ish weeks of the season with a calf strain, which is obviously very sad for football. So yeah, no one will be starting him now. Probably comes in underdone. He's going to be a hot upgrade target early, I would guess. So yeah, let's move on to Brisbane v Adelaide. This was also a really good game. We'll start with the Lions. I don't think there's much point talking about Neil Zorko and Dunkley. They're going to keep doing what they've been doing. Levi Ashcroft was quite good. Tog, a little bit concerning. I'm still not sure how he gets into this side. But a couple of other options have bobbed up now in the midfield, which we'll talk about later. I'm not overly worried if we don't get him. But if we do, and he looks like he won't be the sub, I think he's a lock on your field. Ashcroft's kind of the same with Dunkley, Zorko and Neal, I think. Although I think he is losing a little bit of CBAs for his brother. So that's one to watch. Again, I think there's better options at the price than Will Ashcroft. Do we have anyone else here who's worth speaking about? Nope, no one else relevant. All right, Jordan Dawson. I was rapt to see this game as someone who's looking to start Jordan Dawson. There was a little bit of forward time. Most of that did come when Sid Draper was subbed into the game effectively. It is worth noting that the forward time before that was like a 2-minute stint full forward, and then it was a couple of CBAs where he was the high half forward coming up. So I'm not overly worried about the forward time. I think this guy he's got a good role. I think he's back to 2023. I love the pick. I'm mildly concerned I'm going to have to drop him for someone else. We'll talk about that with the team update. But yeah, Isaac Rankin has heaps of CBAs. My issue with this is I'm not sure that having Rankin more than 50% CBAs is too beneficial for Adelaide. I mean, 50% CBAs is probably good enough anyway. But I feel like they need him forward. They need that X factor forward. I don't think Phil Thorpe's good. Tex is probably a little bit past it, but there's not a heap. I think he makes a massive difference to that forward line, being in that forward line. So yeah, definitely one to watch. I still prefer Horde Francis, but I can't fault you for picking him. Sligo was very good. If Laird gets DPP, I wouldn't be picking him anyway. Not getting many kick-ins, and wasn't very impressive, I'll put it that way. Who else have we got here? Isaac Cumming was very underwhelming. I don't think he's a pick. It's kind of weird. I feel like he's just going to average 60, or 65, which just isn't enough. It's kind of a shame we didn't get to see Miller in this game, who I was interested in, but alas, it is what it is. Sid Draper came on midway through the third quarter, I want to say. Maybe it was at half time. Really good when he came on, which was good to see because last week he was pretty poor. Couldn't find the footy at all. He's quite expensive, and I still think he's a massive sub-risk. So he's a no for me. But another talented... There's a lot of talent in this draft, and they're going to be good players to watch in the years to come. But unless he misses the first couple of rounds, and then there's an injury or something like that, then I think we could trade into him. But yeah, I'm not overly interested in Sid Draper at the moment. There's someone who I forgot to mention here, which is James Peatling. Here we are. He also doesn't have many CBAs. He's got like 30 to 40% maybe, I want to say. He needs to be on the ball to score. He's got no outside game. He's also not a great kick. What he does well is tackling and getting the ball. He's sort of like Crouch, getting the ball out of the contest. I'm not interested in this pick. I don't think the CBA is going to be high enough for him to score. And then Curtin. No, Curtin just looked lost. It's kind of hard. He's playing a lot of wing, where I just don't think he's suited to wing. And there's too many there's too many tools in that forward line with him and Tex, Fogarty, Phil Thorpe. And you're not picking him over Phil Thorpe, Tex, or Fogarty. So yeah, I don't know. Curtin's a no for me. Next one we have is GWS v Carlton. I mean, no point talking about Whitfield. I've seen some interest in Callaghan after this. I think when Green comes back, Callaghan gets more wing time. So this is not a pick that I'm overly interested in. I'm not sure his contested game is good enough yet. So yeah, that's Finn Callaghan. Who else have we got here? Keith's really cheap, by the way. I don't know if we'll get him. I presume Briggs will be healthy for round 1, but Keith's worth watching. He's quite cheap. James Leake. So I don't know. He had a crack. He definitely had a crack. I think as soon as Green comes back, if he does play, he's out of the side. I don't know why he didn't play last week. But our options in defence aren't looking good, and his role is good. So obviously Carlton's a tough matchup for inside mids as well. So I like he tackled a bit. He definitely got in and under. He's quite slow. But yeah, I think if we get him in round one, we're going to have to pick, just based on our other defence options. Connor Stone, he was all right. He's playing back pocket. I'm not sure his scoring potential is that good. But if he can pump out 60s, he's easily a good enough pick. And yeah, Hannaford is playing small forward, so I'm not interested in him. And Angove came on the ground late, so it looks like we won't get him in round one. Same with Ralston. All right, Lucas Camporelli. He was really good on the wing. Got a lot of footy, used it pretty well. I think he is going to beat out Binns and Lord for that last spot. I think Lord loses his spot when Walsh comes back into the side. So yeah, I think he's an option on our bench. I'm struggling with my mid rookies at the moment. There's a few that I'm tossing up between. I'll show you the rookie guide later, but I'm not sure if Camporelli's the one. But I think he will make money. I'm just trying to work out if there are better options with better job security than Camporelli. But yeah, he was quite good. Who else have we got here? Ollie Hollands. This is a no for me. I just don't think he's quite there yet. He's also not a pig. He's not like Whitfield, who is like screaming for the ball every time. He doesn't have that in him. So yeah, Hollands is a no for me. Chera was quite good. I can't fit him in at the moment because I think he still requires a trade, and I'd rather pick value premiums over these like stepping stone types, provided there are enough value premiums, which I think there are in the midfield. So I don't have Chera for now, but I think he's a great pick. Carlton have a soft fixture, and if you don't want to roll the dice on DeConning, aka is Pitternet injured, I think he's a straight captain option in round one if we don't get a loop, or if we don't need a loop. DeConing was beating up on Keefe. Obviously, in Mickey Mouse matchups, DeConing is going to score well. I don't know. There's not much point discussing this. Although he did play 60% Tog, so that could have been a double ton. But yeah, who else have we got here that is worth mentioning? Silvani was okay in defence. Obviously not a pick. Did I talk about Lord? Lord was good. He used the ball a little bit better than Camporelli. He played a bit of half-back as well. But as I said, I don't think he's going to be in the side round one. And if he is, I think his job security is less than Camporelli's. But they're probably going for the same position. This is why I don't like Camporelli, because I'm not sure he's far enough ahead of Lord that we can justify picking him. Lord did a lot of stuff late, though. It is worth noting. Like early, he was quiet, and obviously later on, like after 3/4 time, I don't think it really matters what happens in these games. Yeah, I think that's it for this game. Mitch McGovern was injured. I don't know who that affects. I don't think it affects anyone Supercoach relevant, but worth pointing out. All right, Gold Coast versus Swans. Errol Goulden had a fractured ankle in this game, which is very sad. But I think that makes Angus Sheldrick an absolute lock on our fields with no Mills for the first few weeks and then no Goulden for probably most of the season, I would have to guess. Sheldrick, we know, can score. His points per minute is massive. Just get him in, get him on your field. This would be a good pick. Matt Roberts was interesting. I was skeptical before watching this game. I am now trying to work out if I can fit him in, and B, start him, Stewart, and Perryman, who at this stage, obviously if that game gets moved, then they won't all have the same round 3 bye, but at this stage they do, and I'm not sure I can do that. I should probably do some sort of like mapping to work out how many points they would have to make up between them to make that worthwhile. But it is something I'm considering, and I do like the Roberts pick. I wasn't sold on it originally, but now I do quite like it. McCartan Ford will be interesting to watch as the season goes on. Riley Bice, he was really good when he came on. I was quite impressed. So I'm not sure if he will have a good role. I think he came on once Blakey went out, so I'm not sure he'll actually A, have a good role, or B, be in the side once Blakey is playing a full game. But he was pretty good. I was impressed with Bice. I don't think we'll get him, but if we do, he was good. Hanley we won't get, but he was okay. Patton was playing, as I spoke about with Pryor, like a lockdowny sort of role. I think his spot in the side hinges on Cunningham's availability. I don't know what the timeline for Cunningham is, but obviously we'll get all that information probably tomorrow, actually. But yeah, we'll have information for that before round 1. Anyone else worth speaking about here? Laddams was absolutely shocking. So I was interested in him last week because Grundy may have been injured. Looks like that's not going to be the case, but even if he is, I'm not going anywhere near Laddams. And then over here, Nando did as expected. Who should we talk about first? I've seen a little bit of Rioli. I just don't know that he can score enough to be top 8. So that one's not for me. Who else have we got here? Jepson came on late. He's got a lot more tog than I realised, actually, but probably not an option. Swallow got injured. Don't think that means anything for anyone. And Humphrey, probably not quite enough CBA action to justify picking. So yeah, quick one there. St Kilda versus Port Adelaide. This is the other game that was really uncompetitive. It's hard to take anything out of this game. The Saints were dreadful, like genuinely dreadful. I just don't think you can get anything out of this game. McRae was good. You wouldn't be worried about Steele in this sort of game. The power flogged them, like genuinely. The scoreboard is flattering, to be honest. Garcia, slightly worried about his ability to accumulate, but his role is still good. I presume this Tog was just giving other people a go. I still have him for now, and I think he will still be a good pick. Hugh Boxall, who I'm not sure if this guy's job security is good. This is there's 3 Saints rookies and Lucas Camporelli, I think it's Lucas, that I'm tossing up between for 1 or 2 mid-bench spots. And I'm trying to work out which of these Saints boys has the best job security, and I'm really struggling at the moment. Boxall was really good. Was like the 4th or 5th mid. Again, I don't know. I know Jones is coming back. Ross is gone, right? I don't know. Maybe he has good job security. It's tough to say. But yeah, Boxall was quite good. I was very impressed with him. Hasty, I don't know what that symbol concerns me, but I think he'll play round 1. I think Sinclair affects him, and I'm wondering if he either gets shoved to like a wing or sub with Sinclair in the side. So I'm, again, mildly concerned about this one. Boyd was quite bad. I'm less confident we'll get him round 1 now. I think he'll play at some point during the season. But yeah, I'm not massive on Boyd. He just struggled. Like the other game, he was quite good. I think De Koning's a good matchup for Rux, but yeah, I don't know. He just struggled. Couldn't really win a heap of hitouts even in this game. So yeah, not sure about Boyd. But he's still better than Reedy, who we'll discuss later. Not there's much to talk about. Keeler was good when he came on. But I would expect that they play Boyd over him early on at least. O'Connell I've actually got in my side right now. I don't know if that's wise or not, but he was quite good. I think he's 119k defender. Had a crack. He's an Irish guy. Obviously, there's 8 disposals there, which is a little bit alarming. But he tackled well. Well, he's got 2 tackles. He tackled well. He had a crack in defence, and he was one of the few that actually looked like they were trying, and had effort and intensity. So it's got to bode well for selection. Obviously, that doesn't really matter for Supercoach, but I don't know. Yeah, a lot to play out with rookies still. So yeah. Travaglia came on late, scored pretty well. I will admit, it was a struggle to get through 3/4 of this game, let alone a 4th, so I didn't see anything of Travaglia. But yeah, also worth noting with Boyd, Sharman got injured as well, so that's another one of these taller options in the forward line down for the Saints. So yeah, that's the Saints. Hopefully we get some rookies out of them. Port Adelaide. I'm going to address Finlayson first. Don't pick this. Please don't pick this, guys. Like this is... So the Saints are a notoriously good matchup for defenders. Finlayson is playing defence. This is his, first game in defence? This just can't be. This can't be a good pick. It just can't be. He's got 13 marks, for God's sake. He's not going to do that every game. So, yeah, no interest in Finlayson for me at all. Rosie absolutely dominated, as expected, without Butters. I'm having... This is a tough one for me. I don't have him at the moment, and getting Dawson down to him would be really good for cash. Like, it's only a little bit of cash, but it's enough cash to make a difference for me. My issue with Rosie is when Butters comes back, he will probably need to be a trade. However, he has a good ceiling, and if I'm getting a 24th, 5th, 6th primo, having a ceiling, more volatile type scorer is actually a good thing. So this one is giving me headaches. I need to do some more thinking about it. I need to do a lot more thinking about it. But yeah, definitely interested in Rosie and could not fault you for picking him now. Again, wasn't interested before Butters, but now very interested. Horne-Francis, he was good. Yeah, I don't know. He just looks ready to explode. There's no tackles even in this game. So I think fading Horne-Francis is unnecessarily risky. The upside is far less than the downside, so I think you just pick him. I've been seeing some Miles Bergman. People saying that he's playing the Dan Houston role, which I want to discuss a little bit. The Dan Houston role existed because of Dan Houston. It is not a role that is designed within the Port Adelaide, I don't know, coaching ecosystem, if you like. Dan Houston was an elite kick, probably the best in the game. Bergman's kicking is not as good, for one. So that is why there is no more Dan Houston role at Port. They're just going to change how they play. We saw a little bit of that. It was a lot more chip mark, so that's a lot less run and gun. That's the adjustment that's come from Houston no longer being in that side. This is just a massive score. He had a lot of intercepts and he got a lot of chip mark because it was the Saints. We've seen this before. Defenders go nuts against St Kilda. It's the same thing with Logan Evans. It's the same thing with Finlayson. Even Aaliyah was, it's not a massive score, I guess. But look, I would not be making any decisions about Port Adelaide defenders based on this game. Who have we got here? Pal Pepper. He started slow, but built into the game. He has had a lot of time off. I'm still very interested in picking. He's not in my side now, but he will be come round one because I'm gonna force him in. But yeah, Pal Pepper is I think he's a good pick. I think he'll do 65 to 70 easily. All right, who else is worth talking about here? Joe Berry. I think this guy is the exact same Supercoach pick profile as Kako. Obviously, Kako kicked 4 goals, whereas Berry hasn't kicked any, but they're quite similar. Berry's probably got a little bit more composure, whereas Kako has more of that athleticism. Both really good, exciting players. Was very impressed by both of them in their games. I just think Berry, like the same thing with Kako, the role's not good enough to score consistently enough. Even in a belting, Berry couldn't manage a 50. Like that's concerning for a small forward rookie who's at an elevated price. Still think he's a really good player, but just not interested in Supercoach. Sin doesn't accumulate. You just can't pick this guy. It's he didn't have that much tog, I guess, but it is against St Kilda. He doesn't accumulate. He did some nice things by foot, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think you can pick this. He's too expensive. All right, let's move on to the Spoon Bowl outside of Richmond. Obviously, they don't count this year. Baker got no kick-ins, so I'm far less interested in Baker now. I was mildly interested previously. Flynn. So I worked Flynn back into my side when I saw the team's name for this. I was like, oh, that's good. In another positive for Flynn, Bailey Williams didn't play much ruck at all. So that's got to say something about his job security as the number 1 ruck. Now, in the first quarter, I think he finished on -6. This Cherry was giving him an absolute bath. Obviously, he came back, scored a 98, which bodes very well. I didn't actually think... I'm surprised Flynn even scored that much in a whole game, let alone essentially 3 quarters. So yeah, that was good to see. I was happy with Flynn. Got to the right spots. His ruck work's pretty good. So yeah, happy enough with Flynn. Hutchison, too much wing time for mine, so not interested. Archer Reed, better options in the forward line. Tyrell Dewar, I think there's better options. But I really like Dewar. He's going to take Mark of the Year at least once in his career. But I'm not sure he's going to start for Supercoach. Bo Allen, he cannot accumulate. He can't accumulate, He's not taking intercept marks. He's not in a role where he can tackle up a score. You cannot pick this guy. I'm not even going to, it's not worth talking about this -12 even. He just has no avenues to scoring. So you don't want an elevated price rookie who has no avenue for scoring. You can't pick that. So this is why the defender rookies are a headache, because I think this guy's going to play early. I don't think that'll last throughout the whole season. He needs more development. But yeah, there's no scoring power here. Just can't pick. And then Marich didn't get on the ground. Again, I think there's better options now in our forward lines that we don't need Marich. Let's talk about North. I know I've spoken at length about Cherry and why I don't like him as a Supercoach pick this year and why I prefer Gawn. I might need the money from Max anyway, so I may go with Cherry. So just getting in early, I'm not a hypocrite. I just need the money. Something to note with his tackles, which I thought would regress, which I now don't believe they will, is Cherry his hit outs all go to the ground, which means, and he's not jumping. So he's using his strength to get the hit out, but he's tapping it straight down, which means if an opposition player gets it, he's right there for the tackle. So these massive the tackle numbers could go up. To be honest, I will say I think that it's not good ruck work to do that. But from purely a Supercoach scoring perspective, maybe there is actually upside in Cherry. I'm not... Again, I think the ruckwork is poor quality, so it won't persist. But that was just something I noticed. That's why the tackles are so unusually high for a ruckman. That's because he's tapping it there. So yeah, just that was interesting to me. I hadn't noticed that before. Sheasel, I hadn't had most of the preseason, but he's now in my side. The more I think about it, Sheasel's pretty much another Nick Dacos, except he's had no injuries this preseason and he's got no bye. So, I might need the money from him, but I think it's going to be a very hard fade if I do decide to fade him. So, yeah, he's in my side for now. He's obviously a terrific player. I think watching him without owning him is just going to be really hard. Tommy Powell, he was good. I don't think he's a pick. But yeah, he was quite good. Also, worth noting with Cherry, his ruck fixture is really bad after round 1. He gets English against the Bulldogs, who I think North would be smelling blood there with all their injuries. But yeah, he's got a good matchup round 1. I think you can straight see. But after that, it's pretty grim in terms of matchups. So Caleb Daniel Lock. Jack Darling was really good. Obviously not a pick, but it was just good to see that for North. They've been asking crying out really for a forward who was capable of doing what Darling produced in this game, although I'm not sure that Darling will produce that in many others. He was taking contested marks. It's not really Darling's strength, so yeah, that was interesting. Dave Zuniak was good without being too good. I think there's, again, better options than LDU, but I like the pick. McCurch's role is no good. And then Finn O'Sullivan, he was the big mover for me. I thought he was just going to play wing, but he swapped with Darcy Tucker to play half back. Now, I think it's actually better having the ball in Foss's hands than Tucker's. He's a better user. I was really impressed with his usage. Really impressive talent. So yeah, Foss, he's one to watch. He's a massive watch for me because if Ashcroft is a sub in round 1, this is where I'm going to be looking to go. Because I think it's tough. He's only 15k more than Ashcroft, and Ashcroft accumulates better. But this halfback role is quite good. It's going to be, I think, like Sheasel a couple of years ago, where we're going to actually need to see where he's physically warming up the 10 minutes before the game to know if this is going to be a pick. So I don't know what North's round 1 schedule is, but if there's a game you want to be, on your phone for at the start, it's probably that one. Any other picks here? I think Hansen's 91k forward. He's playing like wing, small forward. I don't know. It's a weird role. I'm not really interested in that. Same with Constanti, just playing mostly small forward. So not for me. Yeah, cool. Let's talk about Fremantle v Melbourne. This was started sloppy, but was a pretty good game by the end of it. Jordan Clark. If you're picking Clark, you're probably pretty happy to see that. I'm still not personally interested, but I think Clark is a very low downside pick, so I don't mind it at all. Luke Ryan, I don't know. You just can't pick this. He's too expensive, man, and like he has to go 120 probably to punish non-owners, and I just don't think that we're going to get that again. The role was just too disgusting. Like it was an unethical role. The coach called him out for stat padding. Like you just can't do it. Sarong Lotog, he's going to be very good. He's a great pick. O'Driscoll was quite good. This is an interesting one because either he was doing things on the screen that were really good and you were like, wow, this guy's a player, or he was completely unsighted. That is the life of a winger sometimes, unfortunately, but he also got some CBAs. So yeah, I like O'Driscoll. I think this is one of the better rookie picks you can do. Brayshaw had a very good ratio, which was excellent. He was cruising, I would say. But yeah, great game. I'm still very interested in Brayshaw. Lots of contested stuff. Not even a heap of tackles or marks. So yeah, that was good, despite the high efficiency. So yeah, very good. Murphy Reid, another one of these players from this draft that I think is a super talent, but just won't score enough Supercoach points to be a pick early on. So yeah, Murphy Reid was he was good, but not a pick, I think. Bolton was good, but not for me either. Liam Reedy. I'll talk about Jackson with this as well. So Reedy was unbelievably bad. I don't think he had a hit out in the first quarter. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, he was dreadful. He just can't score. You can't pick this guy, it's interesting because I think he's going to get a number one ruck role still, but yeah, just can't score, which is fascinating. It's very hard not to score as a number one ruck. He was banished to full forward very early on, and Jackson was quite good, but yeah, I don't think this role for Jackson. Jackson had a great game. I know this has been spoken about a little bit, but I think as a midfielder, he could actually be very interesting. I think he could be a good midfielder. He's very athletic. Like he's quicker than a lot of the guys that are smaller than him. And he's clean below his knees. He's a good user. Like, I don't know. I was very impressed with Jackson. There was also the rumours that he was maybe interested in a trade back to Melbourne, the city, but also Melbourne, the football club. So as a Melbourne supporter, I was interested to hear that, and I'm very interested in that rumour, but it's probably rubbish. So, yeah. Just on Stephen May, Melbourne was playing very chip mark instead of the long bombing down the line Melbourne that we have gotten very used to over the last few years. For Supercoach scoring, I think that means that May is a mildly interesting defender option. I'm not going there myself, but if you're looking for an out there pod, May is there. Injury and suspension risks, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, the chipping game style for Melbourne is going to help these defenders score. I think it does limit Petrarca and Oliver's score ceiling a little bit, but they were both very good. Oliver magically has an outside game, his kicking was much better than it has been previously, so that was awesome to see. He did come off the half forward line a lot, so just one to keep an eye on. Petrarca played a lot more mid-time than I had expected, actually, and he was very good. He's the Petrarca of old. He was doing things that... he's an unbelievable athlete. There was one time, Shea Bolden had a 10 to 15 metre head start on Petrarca, going full speed with the ball, running into the forward line, and Petrarca caught him. Bolden got the kick away, but he did catch him, so that was fascinating to see. Ed Langdon's gone into the middle. I'm not sure what to make of these positional changes. Langdon in the middle accumulated a lot, but he wasn't particularly damaging, which would be the point of having him in the middle. And then Windsor moved to half back, couldn't accumulate it at all, really. He's got low tog as well, worth mentioning, just coming back from injury. But when he got the ball, he was very good with it. So I'm not sure what they do with these position changes. I will also say I'm a little bit, as a Melbourne supporter, I'm concerned about the wing position for us. With Langdon now on ball, it means our wings are Billings on one wing, who played all right, I thought, butchered the ball a little bit, but he played all right. The other wing is either Sharp or Xavier Lindsay, who neither I think are options. I'll talk about Langford as well. The roles just aren't good enough for these guys to score. I don't think any of them are options. Lindsay, I can see Lindsay getting better during the season. And if you wanted to hold a rookie for 15 weeks, you would probably get enough money out of him. But obviously, we don't want to hold a rookie for 15 weeks. So, yeah, I wouldn't be overly interested in those guys at all. If you were interested in starting Windsor as well as a mid-pricer pod, I'd cross him off your list. I just don't think you can accumulate enough yet. And the other one that's sort of interesting is Aiden Johnson playing second ruck and forward for Melbourne. I was very impressed with his game. But I'm not sure he plays round one with Van Rooyen, even though it was flagged early that they would play him round one with Van Rooyen and Turner. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they go with this. He's not got good job security, so I would probably avoid this. But I think he'll make enough money if he does get a go. And Rivers, to be honest, I barely noticed Rivers. With Langdon going through the middle, I don't know if he's playing more half back now. It's all a bit strange. I would have just thought you play Rivers more through the middle and leave Langdon on the wing where he's quite good. So yeah, I don't know. Hard to get a read on that one. But yeah, that is the practice matches. So good to cover those. Let's go over the team really quick. 50 minutes in, so let's get this done quickly. As I said, Sheasel in the team now. I think he's going to be too hard to fade. I want a little bit of extra money to get either Perryman up to Roberts is one thing. I want Sam Powell-Pepper in defence over, I think, Boxall. I think Hall's got a little bit better job security. So yeah, there's a couple of options. This is where some of the money could come from, but yeah, we'll see. Again, I don't really want to fade Sheasel anymore, even though he is probably max price. Sicily Stewart, still like the role, still like the value as value primos. I don't like the higher price options, so I'm going to stick with these two guys despite the buys. Short saw enough from. I don't think Short's the interesting one because I think he has the least chance of being a keeper out of Perryman, Roberts, and Short, but I think he has the least downside, which is why I've got him in for now. He also doesn't have a buy, which is a little bit of a nudge over Perryman and Roberts. Perryman, I think, is also quite safe. I'll talk about Roberts now, I guess. Roberts, I think, has the highest potential for the pick to be, to go wrong. But I think he has the highest potential of being like a good quality keeper, which is why I'm having trouble ranking these guys and working out which one to pick, because I think Perryman's got a 0% chance of not being value. I think he gives us 95 at least. It's same as Short. I think he gives us 95 at least, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to get enough ball to go, a 110, which you'd like from a keeper. I'm not expecting 110 from any of them, but you still want to assess the chances of that happening to work out, hey, if this pick goes really well, the upside is massive. So yeah, that's what I'm tossing up. I've got 5 primers in defence because I don't like the rookies. Reid, Leake, O'Connell, I spoke about in the games. I'm not sold on O'Connell or Leake. That's going to be a round one team's decision, I think. Brayshaw in the middle. That hasn't changed all pre-season. Obviously, Butters is injured now, but I had taken Butters out of my side before the injury, so I just need the cash. But yeah, Petrarca ticked all the boxes for me, so I'm keeping him in. Same with Jordan Dawson. I may go to Rosie from Dawson if I need the money. I don't love it, but it is definitely something I'm considering. I prefer Petrarca to Dawson, I think. But it's splitting hairs. And then O'Driscoll, Sardis, Ashcroft, Sheldrick on field. Spoke about these guys and why you want them on field. Ashcroft I'm still not sold on with the sub-risk, but we'll see how we go with that. And then Nevitt, Hewitt, Boxall here. We still haven't seen Hewitt, which is mildly concerning. But yeah, I don't know. I think these are safe picks. Boxall is a little bit of a job security risk, so I want to tidy that up if possible. Gawn, DeConing, and Boyd in the flex. At R3 with Flynn in the flex. I don't like Flynn at R2, but it does open up a lot of money, particularly if we don't get defender options. So I could go Gawn down to Roberts and then find another rookie in the midfield or something like that. Just spitballing options here. I still like Gawn. I think his run is really good from round 5, just after gather round. well, it's a good game here, and then like there's a lot of really good matchups. Like this is potentially back-to-back 200s. You got to think about here with Gawn. So yeah, I really like Gawn. Still deciding whether or not I need his money, as I said. So, yep, one to look out for there. De Koning, I still don't think the side's better with Pitnet in, so I'm going to run with De Koning for now. If Pitnet does come back, I will trade, praying it's not in upgrade season, but De Koning might have made 100k by then. They've got a soft draw and he can score massive points. So, yeah, and then the forward line's pretty vanilla. Horn, Francis, McRae, Smith, Daniel. I think almost everyone has those and almost everyone should have those. I've still got Garcia. I liked the role. I think he's going to get a crack. When Filippo comes back, obviously we have to abort, but that's fine. He'll have made enough money by then. And then Davidson is a good on-field option that I really like. And I spoke about Stone and Hall in the practice match reviews. So, yeah, that's the team for now. I'm tossing up between Roberts. Do I jam him in? Where do I fit him in? Where does money come from? Who makes way for him? All things to consider for me. And as I said before, I'm going to have Sam Powell-Pepper at either 6 or 7. It's a lot of money to have at F7, but it'll be matchup dependent between him and Davidson for me. But yeah, that's the team. Let's have a look at the rookie guide. So I apologize, it's not in dark mode, so it's quite bright. I've tried to rank the rookies as much as I can in order of which ones I like. But yeah, let's talk about, I guess, I won't go too in depth with it. It's pretty self-explanatory. So job security, is their job security good? If so, it's high. If there's guys who are coming for their spot, it's medium. If they're not in the best 22 at the moment, it's low. Scoring power is in respect to price. So a guy who's high, I think, could make more than 150k. A guy who's medium, I think, could make 150k. And then the guys that are low, again, could make 150k, but you wouldn't want them anywhere near your field. And there's a chance that they can't get there either. There's a spelling mistake in here. Let me fix that one up. And expected role is just, wing, forward, mid, that sort of stuff. That should be very straightforward. On field, do you want these guys on your field? Yes or no? And then we've got the preseason score here. For the guys playing an opening round, I will add the opening round score in as well. I spoke about the mids, like my last 1 or 2 midfield spots. I can't split these 3, and Hall as well. He'll probably end up in there. I can't split these 4 with job security, so that is going to be a massive watch for round 1 teams. Layla I have below them despite having a high job security because I think the scoring power is less than these guys and he's nearly 100k more than all of these guys. So that's why I've graded him as a less good pick than the rest of them. He's also now had an interrupted preseason. So, but yeah, that's what I think of the rookies for now. Let me know what you think, guys. Thanks for watching. The next video I might do ones during the week talking about just like going through by the line. So defender, mid, ruck and forward, just in depth, trying to spitball some ideas, what we can do, what we can't do, those sorts of things. So, but yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.